All right, so this is on the subtype system that is often discussed or sometimes discussed in MBTI, socionics, typology kind of things. I usually tend to hear about it more in socionics coming out of like Model G, Victor Galenko's kind of stuff, where I've heard about it first, but other people kind of go into it as well. So Dario Nardi also brings this up in his research, which to me is huge because he brings real physical evidence into stuff. It's not just theoretical conversation anymore, but actual brain imaging science. So the DCNH, if you are unfamiliar with it, the letters are an acronym that just stands for like dominant, creative, normalizing, and harmonizing, D, C, and H. And it's a four subtype category like system that can be added on to your MBTI type or your Socionics type, right? Whatever. So take any type you want. Take INTP, right? You can then be an INTP who is a dominant type, or an INTP who is a creative type, or an INTP that is a normalizing type, or one that is harmonizing. Any one of those four kind of like added on. So it sort of is a bit of another flavoring to the type of INTP. This sort of helps to address the idea of why we see several people who are of the same type, but don't seem exactly the same. They have a bit of variation in almost like a temperament way of approaching things. And subtypes is one of the ways of doing that. And you have the DCNH system that's on there. Now, the part I really liked about this is that Dario Nardi mentioned the fact that Helen Fisher's system really seems to mirror or line up really well with what the DCNH subtype system is supposed to be. Helen Fisher studied neurotransmitters in the brain, and her whole system based on four different types that are on a neurotransmitter that you may have. So let's show some of that for some people. So here you can see the screen. You can see I was watching Dario Nardi discussing some of this dominant, creative, normalizing, and harmonizing subtypes. And he brings this all up in this video that Joyce Meng had discussing this. So you could always refer back to that video if you want to listen to him kind of talk about it in his way. Right. Now, Helen Fisher, who I'm very familiar with her work, I like her work a lot. And I always try to incorporate her work into my understanding of typology and so on. And I guess I was kind of also looking for a certain connection. And here, Nardio basically points out that connection. So here on the screen, you can see her four types. These are her little simple names that she uses for them, because originally it was meant to be more like for a dating site. But in reality, each type, okay, corresponds to a neurotransmitter. So the explorers here are for dopamine. These blue builders are serotonin, and the red directors are testosterone. And then the green negotiator are for estrogen slash oxytocin. All right. And they each have their own way of doing stuff. So dopamine, here in a short sense, they're outside the box, risk taking, they're inspiring, they're very creative types of people, very ideas. They like to do things in their own way, very outside the box thinking, and can really go their own way on stuff. They prefer to do it that way. Okay. Then you have the builder types, which is serotonin. These are the types that are concrete, planning, stabilizing, and logistical process. These are the guys that are very like stay task focused, follow the procedures, stick to the conventional established way of doing things. Okay. In MBTI circles, you'd think of like really J type, like it's serotonin, right? And creative explorers are like really P type of people. Directors and negotiators. So over here, the directors are testosterone. As it says here, technical, experimental, skeptical, decisive. Okay. They can be very technical people, want the exacting detail. It's almost a bit NT-ish in that sense. They want the exact information. Are only interested in what the data says and don't care about anyone's feelings or concerns at all. It's sort of described that way in her system. But these people are also very testosterone. So they're very dominant people, very aggressive people, very take charge. I want to be on top. It's sort of like an SE. So it kind of comes across like TE and SE combined, especially in the socionics definition of SE and TE. Kind of makes this group up. Negotiators is kind of their opposite, right? The estrogen types here. Sort of the opposite of these guys. So these guys, diplomatic, insightful, contextual, consensus, and so on. Very estrogen, very feminine in its approach, very soft, harmonizing with everybody, getting along with everybody. So it's kind of more of this SI feel from a socionics definition of SI with a feeling function using SI and a bit of FE, bit of FI kind of going on in there, maybe a little more on the FI side actually. But very much that stereotypical feminine approach to getting along with people, getting everyone, or to get along, concerned about the world as a whole, and all that other stuff is really what they're about. Now, each one of these corresponds to the D, C, and H. Right? The dominant D types would be here, the director, testosterone type, dominant, aggressive, very TE and SE kind of focus, get it done, be the top boss, that kind of thing. C would be the creative types. Obviously, would be these guys, the explorers, the dopamine types, creative, the outside the box thinking, risk takers, kind of doing it on their own, very independent minded people. Normalizing would be these guys, the builders, the serotonins, concrete, planning, stabilizing, following the conventional approach, normalizing the normal way of doing things. And then harmonizing would be the estrogen negotiator types over here, very diplomatic, very about everybody getting on board, understanding everyone's situation, thinking about the world overall. Now, it's also interesting that in Fisher's system, it was designed to be, well, she kind of was looking into it as a way of dating, of why certain people are attracted to certain other people. And she kind of notices that the dopamine explorer types tend to be attracted to other dopamine explorer types. So if we apply that to DCNH, then you would say that creative types are attracted to other creative types, romantically speaking. That builder types or serotonin types are also attracted to other serotonin and builder types. Here, when you get to the testosterone director and the negotiator, whatever, you get what I'm saying, negotiator estrogen, okay, these two are attracted to each other. So that means that the dominant would be attracted to the harmonizer and the harmonizer attracted to the dominant. So here's some more explanations and things like that on some of these types. If you're unfamiliar with Helen Fisher's system, you can kind of read up on it. You can go to like helenfisher.com. You can go to her personality content. I know she has a simple test on here. It's one of these little drop down, answer questions kind of tests. It's no big deal. We've done it a couple of times. And anyway, I find this fascinating. This kind of corresponds to the possible subtypes. So now you can maybe figure out what is your type. Excuse me. You can figure out what your type is in like Socionics or mbti and whatnot, and you can then from there add like what is your Fisher type. And in a sense, what you're doing is kind of figuring out what is your DCNH subtype, and you can put that together now. I think that's a quick way of now adding a little more flavoring to your specific type. Whatever your type is, you're an ESTP, but you could be an ESTP harmonizer, negotiator over here, estrogen type, which sounds kind of weird. You would think as an ESTP, wouldn't seem like that. They would more likely sound very like dopamine. Sorry, director testosterone type, but maybe not. You could get some ESTPs that are maybe somewhere over here and they're more or less creative, explorer type or whatever, right? You get the point. So you could do that. Um, might add a little bit of a flavoring, might add a nice fast way of figuring out, again, your MBTI Socionics type combined with DCNH. And maybe that does something for you. Maybe that helps you figure out a few things, why you're different than other people of your same type, or as Fisher created it, why you're also attracted to certain people, maybe in a romantic sense. May add a little bit of something to that. So it's pretty excited to see this. Again, I've been playing with Fisher stuff for years and have always tried to make the connection. And it's nice to see that a connection has finally been, I don't want to say proven, but almost proven. A strong correlation has been popped up and confirmed by Dario Nardi in his work. So to me, pretty exciting stuff. So hopefully this gives you something to go on. You like this? Let me know what you think of it. Like, subscribe, and everything. And I hope you're excited about this as I am. So, until the next time, guys.